Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
We de-Christmased over the weekend, just putting away all the decorations and stuff, keeping out the general and generically wintry stuff, but anything overtly Christmas, we put that back into storage. And actually did a good job of it this year. Like, everything's nicely stored away. Got like 3 different, very flimsy, have been using them for years, but really only 1 or 2 times a year kind of boxes. And cardboard just doesn't hold up. So we, hot swapped it, all for a better thing. And we're feeling thrilled about it. We were a little bit late getting to putting all the decorations away, I think, because we actually were late getting it all put up since we were on vacation mid-December. It made sense. But it started to feel a little weird, coming home and walking up to the front door of our apartment and it being the only one in the building left with a wreath on it and decorations, tinsel around the door. It's starting to be like, okay, we got to do this. But according to a new survey, this Thursday, the 16th, just after halfway through January is when you should have them all taken down, I guess. I don't know. Who cares? Leave them up all year if you really feel joy from it. It doesn't matter. But we did the de-Christmasing, and there's always something that you don't catch at first. And it wasn't until Sunday night that we realized that, there was a Santa hat still just put on one of the pieces of furniture. We're like, you should pull out the box one more time. Put it away. Why is there an option to have an AI system write messages to my friends and family for me on social media? You can ask that a lot about different things. Why is AI doing this? Why is it doing that? But in this case, isn't that the good thing? Drafting an email you don't really want to write, I get. Organizing notes into bullet points or like a summary, I get. Having even a customizable personal assistant AI thing calibrated to your daily workload and your habits, I think I get. But isn't talking to friends supposed to be the real life stuff that we enjoy? The kind of thing that we struggle through all the other stuff to be able to enjoy? Isn't that the thing? I'll suffer the burden of typing in a message to my loved ones myself. Thank you very much. It's like people forgot that they were texting in T9 15 years ago.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
Guitar Center is launching an initiative to help with the lost instruments in the LA wildfires that are continuing to cause havoc. There's 3 main fires burning in the area still, but countless people have been affected by it, and a lot of creativity does come from the area. A lot of collections of instruments and musicians living in the area to get a helping hand, at least in some form, through this initiative, which is just getting started, which is so important. And there's been other initiatives similar to that, and to get people even more essential things that they are now without. Aerosmith's Tom Hamilton says, I don't know, maybe something could be coming soon. And adding that Steven Tyler is healing quite well. The process is going very, very well, and they could do something in the future if Steve Tyler wants to. Unfortunately, they had to announce last year that their touring days were over after an injury of, the vocal cords at a gig, causing other exacerbations, and just a sad moment for the band in general. But that doesn't mean they can't do something in the studio, maybe. Ringo Starr also just says he wants to be in a band. Only. He doesn't really want to do solo music. People have asked him over the years. He says there's no way that you can go out there and do Yesterday just on drums. You could, but I feel it would kind of be nonsense.
Tuesday.
TikTok is going to be changing very, very soon, though it's only being banned in the U.S. for now. So many of the video creators that are seen in Canada are from the U.S., of course, and they are effectively going to be Thanos blipped out of our online existence by the 19th. But for the video makers and the video scrollers, there is some hope. And for those of us who have been hopelessly mystified by the entire TikTok wave, I'm sorry to say that, there's a new one. Red Note, or as it's originally called, Xiaohongshu. I guess it's kind of known as the Instagram of Hong Kong. I guess it has now exploded this week to #1 on the U.S. app stores. We don't really need more of the same social media platforms, but with new names. We just need one that isn't influenced by any billionaires or any shareholder shills. Like, if we go back to actually using social media as social media, that might be all right. That might be cool. As it is now, I don't know. And Metallica is first up, amongst many who have made significant donations to the LA wildfire relief efforts. Metallica is amongst them with $500,000 being donated, which is fantastic. They do say that numbers cannot articulate the magnitude of anguish as the disaster upends families and dismantles livelihoods. And of course, they're encouraging anybody who is able to donate. Yeah, obviously not everybody can do $500,000. But every dollar does help. Every dollar does count. Just make sure that it's going to a reputable source and not getting, put in the pockets of some scammer. And AC/DC. We finally know not what it means as a name for the band, but why they decided on it. The original singer before Bon Scott, Dave Evans, he released the first 2 singles with the band and was there when they were forming. And apparently, before they had a name, they did have a gig. And it was in 2 weeks, and they needed to decide on something because you need a name to have a gig. And they were just at a stalemate, couldn't figure something out. All suggestions were not liked. And they decided that each member of the band would come up with 3 names. They would all come together, and they would decide on one out of all of those options for good. Just get it out of the way. They never even looked at any of those suggestions because once they gathered for that fateful meeting, one of the members of the band, Malcolm Young, said, hey, sister-in-law said AC/DC. It means electricity, it means power, and it's also on the side of pretty much all the appliances, at the time at least. So they thought free advertising, easy to say, means power, people will remember it, and therefore they were AC/DC forevermore.
Wednesday.
Just announced to the people who were users of the space at the Keanu Theater and Arts Center. This was exploding on our local social feeds yesterday, and I think with good reason. Now, I don't know how to run an institution by a long shot whatsoever, so I'm not even going to speak to that, but I can speak directly to the fact that no matter what the decision-making process was, the result is going to be a negative impact for the community. We're already at a deficit for dedicated, purpose-built spaces for creatives. And I'm talking about creatives of all ages. I'm talking about the young kids who are getting into dance as early as like 5 years old, maybe even younger. I don't know. But all the way up to 19. And then, adult dancers as well. Not that kind. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like the spaces where people can gather to share and learn different creative crafts and to have a space that isn't just trying to pluck things out at the kitchen table, which is great, but it's just still at the kitchen table, or not being able to use certain materials because, well, you've got pets and this material is dangerous to have around pets because it's, giving off fumes or whatever. You need like ventilation. A lot of different creativity needs purpose-built spaces, and we're already just at a deficit for that, even with the coming Arts Inc. From Arts Council Wood Buffalo, which is going to be taking over that old theater downtown. You've already seen maybe some of the construction work going on for that. That is going to become artistic spaces. And those still weren't going to be enough with what we had already at the time, and now that is going to be whittled away even further. I just know that this is going to have lasting effects for generations to come, because while we are an industry town, we're a hard-working town, and we do know that we have to be pragmatic at times, and we need to have the focus shift to priorities when it comes to like when we have natural disasters and things like that. I agree. I totally do. But I also know that a community needs art. It needs art in it, and not just to look at, but for people to engage with and do. And so we need more of that. We need more spaces in general, and just period. Not just in the downtown Fort McMurray area, but all throughout Wood Buffalo. If you want to read that story, definitely take a look. It's at, again, cruzradio.com right now. David Schwimmer just talking to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert about his history and one particular incident which saw him serving divorce papers to Sir Rod Stewart. In his university days in Chicago, he said he was working as a waiter, but he also had so many different jobs. And he was a process server for once. His mom was a divorce lawyer, so he kind of got into it through that connection. And he was feeling like he was James Bond, but not James Bond, because he is given a location and has to find the person and surreptitiously say hi to confirm the ID. You know the whole thing. But one of those people happened to be Rod Stewart. And David Schwimmer does add he doesn't think Rod knows that it was him. Probably not. He probably doesn't care at this point. Bon Jovi, just yesterday announcing that there's a new book coming, an anthology, limited edition, Bon Jovi Forever, with tons of photographs, illustrations that are encompassing the entire career of the band, and the audio book version narrated by John Bon Jovi himself. As well, it's becoming a little bit more clear just how much impact the wildfires have caused in LA County. A lot of creative work happens in that area, and in the music scene in particular, it has been clear that there's been venues directly affected. Several artists have lost their homes, and beyond that, even just collections of instruments, recordings, and other memorabilia never to be replaced.
Thursday.
That carbon rebate, first one of the year, I believe of 4 through 2025, arriving in people's direct deposit accounts just yesterday. Varying amounts, of course, but, a little extra jingle there. What are you buying with your carbon rebate money? Tattoo? Being nice and responsible with it? Might be buying yourself, collector's edition something or other that you've been keeping your eye on for a little while, but you've been trying to be responsible about, didn't get it for Christmas. That kind of thing. Maybe the 2-in-1 Legend of Zelda Lego Deku tree set, for instance. I'm not saying that didn't show up for me, but I'm just saying, it's expensive. They just announced the Switch 2 from Nintendo, actually, this morning, so maybe save it up for that. Or, in reality, probably just going to put it towards groceries. Don't forget to bring your own scale for the meat. On what was his 56th birthday, the frontman for the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, apparently spent the day volunteering time making meals for families that were displaced from wildfires in the Los Angeles area. There was some footage shared by a different group that was called Feed the Streets charity, not directly from Dave Grohl himself, but they were sharing that he was stirring up a giant pot of chili and helping out for hours on the pavements, helping with those who were in desperate need. Now, switching gears to Bob Dylan, a couple of different stories. One where he's got a new TikTok account. This is just literally 3 or 4 days before the possible disappearance of TikTok, at least in the U.S. It's getting banned down there in the South. But I guess we'll be able to still get the content? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. Various clips from different eras of Dylan's work were shared on there. Meanwhile, a complete unknown biopic starring Timothée Chalamet had a premiere where he arrived on a electric rentable Lime bike and got fined for it. Don't worry, I think he's got the money. And finally, some news from Robbie Williams, who's got his biopic in theaters right now, where he is played by himself, but covered up by a CGI monkey. He was talking to Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and was telling a story about a time he, in his own words, did shrooms at Bono's house. U2? No, I just mean he's from U2. You get it? It's the end for music news this morning. I'm Steve Reeve.
Hey Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
Once again, doing this every weekday morning with thanks to the Black Horse Pub.
Prove him wrong with the right answer. But you gotta be quick. It's time for Impossible Trivia with Steve Reeve.
And we've got Shelley on the line to give an attempt for today's challenge, today's question. That's you.
Sounds awesome.
Okay, whether you've heard us playing or not, it's pretty simple. I've got one question and I've got 10 seconds on the line. You are our contestant today, Shelley. And if you get the answer right within that time frame, you're going to win $100. If you don't, no worries. We'll up the ante. We'll put $125 on the line tomorrow, and you'll have another chance to try again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, timer's going to start as soon as I've got the question out there. The Nintendo Switch was just officially announced this morning. Please name 3 out of the top 5 best-selling video game consoles of all time.
Super Mario?
Oh, that's a character, a game. What about the thing you play it on?
What was that, sorry?
Oh, yeah, you can't hear over the timer. I mean, that was a valiant effort. That was the game or the character, but we're looking for the console, like the thing you play it on, which, I mean, you could have done anything from Game Boy or Game Boy Color, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4. There's a bunch of them, but no win today, Shelley.
Okay, thanks anyway, though.
We'll try again another day. To be a driver for Planters Peanuts in the Nutmobile. Yes, it's another one of those situations where a novelty car, a promotional car, is in need of drivers. In the United States, they're going to be paying for $45,000 a year plus benefits. And you've got until Valentine's Day to apply. Oh, fantastic. Now, you might not be driving quite as famous as a car as the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, and in fact, that one is about a foot longer than the Peanut. But it pays more, actually. When it was last offered for drivers for the Wienermobile, they were doing about $35,000 a year. This is $45,000. Not bad. Job runs June to June. Travel expenses, stipends for meals, health insurance, blah, 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 blah. Not bad. Not bad. So again, if you really want to do a change up of career, you want to be living life on the road and driving a vehicle that's absolutely going to be turning heads, here is your opportunity. $45,000 a year to drive the Nutmobile. Now that's something you can put on your Tinder profile.
Friday.
A celebration of the legacy of Ringo Starr happened with Ringo in attendance not too long ago, and it was taped and will be on Paramount Plus in the spring. It's called Ringo and Friends at the Ryman in Nashville, and featuring performances alongside people like Jack White, Sheryl Crow. I mean, he just put out most recently, a countrified album called Look Up. And this kind of was an opportunity to not only showcase some of those songs, but to take a look at the Beatles' hits through the lens of the country genre. Very interesting. I'd be curious to check that out. No exact date on when that's going to be available. And of course, you got to have the subscription. 50th anniversary announced a reissue of David Bowie's Young Americans vinyl. It's going to be arriving along in March with picture disc, bunch of extra goodies thrown in there. Of course, you're going to have poster, you're going to have masters, you're going to have demos, you're going to have all kinds of stuff, and very high quality even on the vinyl format. And a follow-up to the 1974 album Diamond Dogs. This is a very weird and different album, like as he often did, reinventing himself visually. He also did musically as well. So that is available for pre-order right now. They always are. Here to talk about an upcoming theatrical production that you can be a part of, we've got from Swamp Rat Experience, Hannah Fridhead, and the director of the production, Doubt, Steph Link. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Good morning.
Doing amazing.
I guess the full title is Doubt, a Parable.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah. And I've only heard a little bit, like I'm not super familiar with this play. So if there are others who are like me, who need a little bit of info, what is this play about?
So the play at its core is about doubt. Very simply, John Patrick Shanley, the playwright, has given us this vehicle to speak about doubt, which is a 1964 in the Bronx Catholic school. And in this school, there's a nun who is the principal, and she thinks that the priest may be having an inappropriate relationship. So she kind of gathers one of the other nuns to help her prove this, and she's trying to figure out if this happened, and she's quite sure.
And I mean, it all unfolds beyond that, but clearly we're going to be dealing with some heavy themes.
Very heavy themes. Yeah. But it's written so beautifully and so well that, it won a Pulitzer Prize. It won a bunch of Tony Awards. So it's a really, really good play. And we think you should all audition.
Yeah. So it's next Thursday, next Friday, January 23rd and 24th that the auditions are actually happening. How do people get involved? How do people sign up?
You go to swampratexperience.com/doubt, or you visit our Facebook page. There is a Facebook event, of course. We're on Instagram. We are on LinkedIn, if you're there, and on TikTok. So just find us on one of the many platforms. All the information is there. You sign up for an audition slot, you read through the production guide, and if this is your first time doing it, don't worry. It's many firsts involved in this show.
it really is open to everybody. It, of course, is going to be an 18-plus show, as I see. But make it your first time, and it's going to be the first time that, Steph, you're directing.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Directorial debut.
Also slightly terrified, but that's okay.
I've always known you to be ambitious, and I feel like this is an ambitious pick. Really is a powerhouse of a show, and it's also the first show that Swamp Rat Experience is producing at your new home turf at King Street Theatre.
Exactly, and we couldn't be more excited. It's the perfect venue for it. It's intimate. It's a black box theater, so it's we can do a lot of fun things with lights and with the set. We got a great team on board for this, all local to Fort McMurray.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting.
There might be a lot of people, in fact, I'm sure there's tons who are like, what? King Street Theatre? What the heck is this? Now, this is very familiar to me from way back because I'm a kid from Composite High School, Fort McMurray Composite High School, and I took the drama program there, and I was in King Street Theatre. It is actually the drama facility at Comp, but for a long time there, it was not in use, and there were certain aspects, flood happened, different disasters kept it from being available. You guys have moved in, Swamp Rat Experience, to transform it back into its former glory and new glory.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. It has, like you said, sat unused for quite a few years. It does need some TLC, quite a lot of TLC, to bring it back to where it's fully functional. And we're working hard to fundraise to make this happen. Swamp Rat, we're a bunch of happy volunteers that do this. So it's a slow and steady process, but Comp High School have been fantastic to work with, welcoming us into this space, to program it, to be able to offer productions, programs, and events to the community again in this space.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful. It's beautiful.
I think it's really cool. I'm biased because I've got some personal memories, some sentimentality going on with that space myself, but I want people to, experience it for the first time and create some of their own memories and attachments to it. I think it's such a really cool unsung space for creativity and theater in our town. What is something that you would say, maybe a piece of advice, I guess, for somebody who's like, I want to audition, but I'm scared. What do I do?
Oh, well, first of all, don't be scared because it's my first time too.
Yeah, cool.
But also, I want you to succeed. I want you to be the best. I want you to show up and give me your Meryl Streep and just blow me away because that makes my job so easy. So I have nothing but love for everyone who comes into that room and respect because it takes a lot of guts to come and do that. So please come out. I want to see you. We want to see some new people in the room.
Yeah.
We want to see some people going to places they didn't think they could go before. It's so much fun doing theater, and come on out.
Yeah, come on out. Bring your Meryl Streep with you.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling scared about auditioning, you don't know what to do, you're not sure how to prepare, how to go about all this, don't worry, reach out to us. We have advice, we have resources, we can talk you through it. Like, you don't have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
First time I auditioned, which was here in Fort McMurray, I had no clue what I was doing. Most of the time, most of the day, I still have no clue about what I'm doing, but I just go ahead and do it anyways, because life is more fun that way.
It's true. It is more fun. It's when you get to kind of get out of yourself a little bit, try something new, experience something with new people, maybe. I think it's such a cool experience. And it's, again, open to everybody. I think a lot of people do kind of think, oh, it's a theater that would be fun. And I'm like, but yeah, it would be. Why don't you? Why don't you give it a try, right?
Come on out.
So,
we want everyone to come.
So sign yourself up for a slot with the Auditions. Get into the Swamp Rat Experience. And if you just want to even just see the show, April is when it's going to be at King Street Theatre. Thank you guys so much for taking the time this morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, that was in harmony.
Jinx.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.